so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
12:03. It's Two Guys and a Goalie right here on Edmonton Sports Talk and on YouTube. Tune in, iHeart, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Maybe you're listening to the podcast after the fact. No matter how you are consuming Two Guys and a Goalie, let it be known that it is brought to you by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, safety, driving their success. GS has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. That's right, they are hiring. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca, click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca. And with the Next Up Person program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it tis be a career. Cass, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I think my wife passed pestilence on to me, so I'm a little bit of a runny nose, but I'm hanging in there. Gonna grind it out. I'm excited for the Oilers game tonight. Actually, it's such an interesting scenario that we'll dive into, but I'm excited. Troy Stetcher is a hero. Troy Stetcher is a hero.
I see Matt Kassian already going to work over on the Nasty Chat today, so that's great.
Yeah.
If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you know how you can get a hold of us. Hammer into the inbox at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up. You can sub to the channel as well, and of course, hit us up in the Nasty Chat. Gager, how are you doing, buddy? Do you have any sniffles?
No, I seem to be all right. I haven't been. I've been avoiding.
Telling us that you were on Sportsnet Tuesday.
Yes,
this guy. Yeah. Hey, we do Two Guys and a Goalie on Tuesday. We sit there. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the game tonight." And then what happens? I turn on my television, and there's Gager sitting right next to
there
Dean
he
Principe
is.
to start the show.
looking just sassy.
Yeah, very sassy. No, I mean, I think it's more of a surprise. It's a little. Christmas is on the way.
It was kind of surprising.
Yeah, a little surprising. Because a lot of times people are getting up, grabbing a beer or something to eat at that point. But the TV's on, and then they might hear a familiar voice. I heard even Hernan got up and had to go get another coconut water, that natural laxative that he likes to drink so much. And yeah, he said, wait a second, is Joaquin in my house or on TV? So
yeah. And you were right there on TV.
I was right there.
Right there on TV. When's your next one? We'll never know.
No, that'll be
that's a mystery too.
We'll see. It's up to my two esteemed colleagues. We'll see what Bob, if I made the cut, I'll have to talk to Stoff and see how it goes.
Just talk about the Golden Bears for 10 minutes. You'll be back. Simple as that.
You'll be back. Yeah. Gage, I was going to say, though, I know you're feeling well now, but you're probably going to be sick after this weekend when I absolutely stomp you.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's on this weekend.
But I made some edits. I made some changes. Maybe I'm burning a chip. Maybe I'm not. We'll have to see. Sprint race in the States.
You didn't do a thing.
No, I did. Actually, I did. I did. Made a couple changes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Subtle.
That's brave going into it before practice. It's quick though, right? So sprints, you don't get a real good. Of what's going on.
Is this essentially a two-man league again this season?
Yep.
We'll see after. No,
Maddie's making a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
Is he want it?
Yeah, he's making a push.
Fly dog.
And my Padawan over there has actually done all right. So
Hernan?
Yeah.
Well, I had to kick Hernan out of a fantasy league.
Yeah, he
didn't set a team all last year, went 0-16. And I was a horrible commish. People are like, Dusty, Hernan's not sitting in his lineup. So I was like, listen, I'll get a hold of him at some point. And then I didn't. So anyway, Hernan, you got replaced in that league. Yeah, I figured so.
It's all good.
Okay, so the three of us haven't had a chance. Cash, you weren't on postgame on Tuesday, so we haven't had a chance to break down the win over the Philadelphia Flyers. I saw you talking about Stetcher. Did he essentially jumpstart the season by standing up for Stuart Skinner?
He did. I think he did. And what's interesting, and I wish, looking back at it, I wish I would have brought this up on Tuesday, because I had this thought, and then I, in typical ADHD fashion, completely forgot about it. So it's like I had a thought watching the third loss in a row. And part of my thought was like, boy, they need like a line brawl or something, right? And that, not that it has to be a line brawl, but it's like you need that moment, right? That galvanizing moment. I'm like, this team needs a moment where like someone gets run over on their team, goalie gets bumped, like what we saw happen against Philadelphia, or it happens the other way. Someone bumps the other team's goalie and it starts a big ruckus and guys are having to jump in there for one another. It kind of just started to have that feeling where I was like, they need something to kind of emotionally pull themselves together here, like emotionally just to really engage everybody beyond just the emotions of winning or losing, like to really get everyone like, oh, we got skin in this game. And I think what's great just about the Stetcher moment is that, it's Stetcher, and he's fighting a guy that's like 6'4". And in that situation, you win regardless. Your goalie got bumped. Your team's lost a whole bunch of games. You're losing in that game. And you have a guy that's a smaller guy, not well known for fighting. And he goes after a guy, and he just stands in there, holds his own. Again, it's like you don't have to throw a punch in that and you win because of what it can do to the team and pulling everyone together and involving the crowd and engaging everybody into it. It's like an emotional focus and a galvanizing force. And so, to me, like that, as far as turning the start of the season around, that was an absolutely huge moment. Now they have to carry it over, and it's the responsibility of the team to do that against a Nashville team that's going to be absolutely desperate, really in the same situation as Edmonton was, looking for that emotional spark and catalyst. But yeah, guys, when I said Troy Stetcher's a hero in the Nasty Chat, I kind of mean it. He was the guy that did it. Now I hope other guys would have too, if they were the guy that was there. But yeah, kudos and respect to him. Doesn't mean I think he should be on the second pairing the whole year, but great little moment to maybe potentially turn around. I don't want to say the entirety, because I think they would have got there, but at least spark a big comeback and get the Oilers the first one of the season.
What do you think of the moment, Gager?
So we've talked about this before. It's different when you're actually at the rink and watching it on TV. It gives you a little bit different perspective. Going into that game, I felt like even the rink felt a little anxious before the game, just because of the whole situation that the Oilers found themselves in, and started again not great. Penalties early. Challenging goals didn't go their way, scored again on the power play, parade to the penalty box. But what that did was the crowd was angry at the Oilers, but they were also angry at the refs too. And just because of the inconsistency, I think, with some of the calls, some of them were penalties. I'll give them that. But when it got down to it, I think that the crowd were a big factor in that game because, like you said, that was a emotional roller coaster of a game from the beginning, just going, oh my gosh, here we go again. Then to the refs. Then, the second period, there was the first time after that one power play where they finally seemed to get sustained pressure through the whole 2 minutes. The next few lines really established themselves, and they got a couple goals from their lower end of the lineup, let's say. And it really gave them a boost. They fight all the way back. They kill off the 5-on-3, and then they score late. So it's almost I think that feeling of us against the world.
That's what it was. That was the sense, right?
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, that's what it is. Like that again, a galvanizing moment to pull you into it emotionally. So Dustin, I was going to ask you guys a question, and I know Dustin, you probably have it in your mind to go here. But what do you guys think about the decision? And I think I know what you're going to say to sit Draisaitl for a couple of the shifts in the third.
One word: finally, a coach has the cojones to do something like that.
We were discussing it about holding guys accountable on Tuesday's show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
about Darnell Nurse and Cass. The one thing you did is like in game, maybe you find a place to do it. I thought it was good to see.
I love how he hit on it Tuesday too. Like we were saying,
and he responded. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely responded. But we were all saying you can't. It's not like, I think we were talking about Darnell Nurse though. You can't put.
We were talking about Nurse, yeah.
Yeah, you can't put him. But then the conversation moved to accountability and the fact that no other coach, I don't think in years, has done something like that to one of the main key players on this team.
And it wasn't, the thing I liked about it, it wasn't for a whole period. Wasn't for, you're not healthy scratching him. Again, it's like, no, you make him miss a shift or two. It sends a message to that player, but it also sends a message to everybody else from a discipline standpoint that, like, listen, yeah, the refs may not be great tonight. You may be frustrated, but you can't take bad penalties. You can't let your frustration leak out into making mistakes that could jeopardize your team. And if you're going to put this team in jeopardy, you're going to have a seat. And if he's going to do it to Draisaitl, guess what? He's going to do it to anybody. And again, that's where, not just for Leon, but for everybody else, it's again, you have to have the cojones, as you said, to make that move. But beyond that, it's like if you do that and you execute it well, then it can be a huge benefit. And what I really liked about it is I also really liked that that Leon Draisaitl responded afterwards. Like, he wasn't pouty about it. He went out and he played really well the rest of the game. So yeah, it was I thought a well-timed decision by Knoblauch.
He was a little pouty after the game.
Yeah.
But
it didn't come out in his play.
Yeah. Us against the world mentality. That's when this team's at their best. When their backs are against the wall, everyone's counting them out, and they respond. Doing something like that, it's not only a message to Draisaitl. It reverberates throughout the whole lineup when something like that happens.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Like, just like, oh, well, like when probably in the moment when you're on the bench, you're like, hey, wait, Leon's not out there right now. Like, send a message to everybody else type of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not like, oh, wait, Leon's not out there right now. Like, when he calls the lines and who's going and you don't hear Leon's name, it's not like you're like, oh, it's weird. Leon hasn't been on the ice in a little bit. Like, like it is, with those top guys, it is right away, especially when you're down towards, in a game in the third period, and all of a sudden, no Leon, your ears perk up real quick. Like, that radar goes, because you're so, when you're on the bench, you're always aware, you have to be, of the coach. You're aware of what's going on the ice, but you're aware of the coach behind you, because you have to be paying attention to who's going. Now, for me, I had to pay less attention because I know, in the third period in particular, I'm probably not going out. So, that was checkout time for me, where I'm like, I can just watch this game and enjoy and yell at some people.
My job here is done.
My job here is done. I can start taking off my tape now, and just be able to get out of my gear a little faster after the game. Maybe loosen up my skates. I did an OT a couple times. Yeah, I gave her that OT. My feet are a little sore. I might just loosen these bad boys up a little bit. But yeah, you recognize that immediately on the bench. Like, when one of your big guys misses we'll call it a scheduled shift, you perk up right away, or your ears perk up, and that a message is being sent.
That's what guys with not a lot of ice time should just go to, like, the ski boot. So they can just, like, you hear the clips, you're up, and then you hear the ratchet.
Get me back in. That'd be convenient. Yeah, that'd be convenient for some of those guys. A couple of things around the crease that we can probably discuss coming out of that game. We'll turn our transition here. We'll focus on Weathers and Preds tonight. We'll definitely get to that. A few other stories around the National Hockey League that we can certainly get to. If you are listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com during your lunch hour, thank you very much. Fire us your text on anything we're discussing at 780-218-9999, or hit us over in the nasty chat as well. We can certainly get to a few of those. On the calls, like, I thought both of those should have been goals. The one that they said was a goal, the Michkov one, and then the other one as well, the one with a little contact from Hyman and then more contact from his own defenseman, and that one gets called back. It seems, and maybe we talk about this every October. Maybe it's the same thing every October, and then those whistles go away a little bit, and we're definitely not talking about this type of stuff, significantly, usually come playoff time, because you can kind of get away with bloody murder in the postseason. But Gage, let's start with you as the goalie on both of those calls. I thought you laid it out nicely on Sportsnet in the second intermission there.
Yeah, and I thought it was a goal because the puck was never covered, right? The only thing that gave me pause was the bend of Michkov's stick. Like, he was really leaning on it there, right? So it seems like, but the pad didn't move, and then when you kind of look at it, it does look like Skinner went to go cover it and moved his pad a little bit. But it was never covered, right? So I think you can still go at it. So I thought it was a goal. The other one is just Hyman and even Perry's. It bothers me that goalies have become so delicate and fragile that there's no battle to get out there and battle for pucks. Like, it's part of the game. I thought they were brutal calls, and there's just you watch other games and those are they're goals. So there's no consistency with any of these things, and you're taking away I think a crucial part of the game on the forward side to battle with goalies, to battle for space. I mean, it's not physical, but I mean, when I played, if a guy was in front, I could put your hand on him and push them out a bit or something, and they're just they're frustrating. I can see it from both sides. I just they have to do something. Hopefully over the last few days, the league has kind of got together and kind of reviewed these things and go, look, goalies are going to have to battle a little bit. And even I can't believe Couturier didn't get a penalty on that pick by Skinner.
I was gonna go there too as well, and we'll follow up on that. But Cass, just your thoughts on the reviews that we saw.
I have no problem with the Michkov goal being a goal. Normally, like, in my opinion, I'm like, goalie's doesn't have it covered. You can whack at it. Goalie's got to hold the post. It should be a goal. Should be a good goal. That's my thought on it. My issue with it turns into, what standard have you set here? Because you call the Perry one a no goal, then you call that, and then the Hyman one too, where I'm just like how are you, like, just the most frustrating thing with this all for me is like, where's the consistency? Like, it is just so ad hoc. Like, they're just kind of picking and choosing which ones they want to have a goal or non-goal. Like, there's no objective standard to say that, okay, this is now, consistently through the year what we're going to see from a goal allowed, not allowed standpoint. Like, set the standard, run it that way the entire year. It's where it's a toss-up. All these are a toss-up. You're like, you don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea what's a goal or not goal. And that's, I think, where the Oilers challenge that one is like, they don't know if that's they would say that that's probably not a goal. He pushed his pad. But it's like, okay, well, if that is a goal, then how is, like, when Corey Perry gets a goal called back the other night, how is that a non-goal when he didn't engage any of the contact?
Well, Michkov stick was in the crease. There was no contact. It was just like he couldn't come out all the way to make the save. Like,
and Michkov's stick was in the crease. So does that mean that it should be a no goal? And then on the Hyman one too, it's like how I don't understand how the Hyman one, when he gets engaged with, he gets pushed, there's body contact there. He's trying to avoid contact, and same thing. It's like that kind of contact where the majority of that was the defenseman that got in the way. Like, there was a small tap from Hyman. There was a chance to reset afterwards. And Philly's defenseman, I can't remember who the defenseman was, catches his blocker, and that's what pulls the blocker down. So it's just like the consistency of what they're calling and not calling is so just random that that's what's frustrating to me. All three of those, if I go to the Corey Perry goal, that should have been a goal. The Michkov goal should have been a goal. I thought that was a goal. Puck's loose. You should be able to battle at it. And I think the Hyman one should have been a goal too. Like, it's just the consistency or lack of consistency is just what's infuriating to me.
Well, and it's a lack of consistency, and they're reviewing it. Like, that to me is, if you're not going to be able to get it right by going to video review, then take out video review and challenges for goaltender interference. The officials are paid money. Their job is to make those calls. They do it at high speed, And that's what it just stands at that. Reed had the tweet a couple days ago, basically on if you have to review a goal to see if it's over the goal line, sure, use video review. But if you're going to review it and it's still inconsistent, then what's the point of even having the opportunity to do it? If nobody knows what the standard is, you're just wasting your time. Live with the official's decision and move on. I mean, that's it. The one was called a goal. The other one was waved off. That's ended up what they came to terms with a video review anyway. Just leave it. Just let it be.
My idea of goaltender, there's going to be incidental contact, right? And if you watch the Hyman goal at full speed, you can barely see contact, right? When it happens right away, you can't see it. When you slow it down, you can see stuff. This goes back to when I think we were all talking about it months ago, how when you review something, there should be a certain speed that you see it at. You shouldn't
full
be
speed.
able to.
It should be full speed.
Yeah. Watch offsides full speed 5 times. If you can't tell one way or the other, boom. It's
like a slight
it's whatever the call was
slower.
on the ice. Yeah,
a slight bit slower is fine, but the frame by frame, like you can see there. Oh, he touched him at a certain point in the still frame. So it's that's
the only
ridiculous.
frame by frame. Yeah, I completely agree. The only frame by frame should be, did the puck cross the goal line?
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one. Did the puck cross the goal line? But for goalie interference, for offside, I don't even think you should be 75% speed. I think it should be full speed. You get multiple angles at full speed. If you can't tell, you go with the call on the ice.
It's a high speed sport. I mean, why would you dictate the outcome of it by a freeze frame? For something that's happening with play.
Yeah, no.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's kind of frustrating. Okay, the other thing I want to go, the penalty on Couturier, or the non-penalty on Couturier. Now, you did say when Skinner set that pick, right? That was so if he set, and it looked like he was bracing for a basketball pick. Like he moved his one leg a little bit and then stood there, and then Couturier, boom, right. I'm not going to say free game, but if a goalie in any way sort of knows it's coming and braces himself for it, I don't know, man. I
did this lots and when again it slowed down a little bit, but there's tons of room for Couturier to go past Skinner. All right, it's not like he's being squeezed out by any means. But Skinner stops the puck, sees, I think it was Stetcher there, and
it was Stetcher, yeah.
And so he stands there. He doesn't try to go back.
He slides back. No, he slides back a little bit.
But
like he slides back in. But he slides back.
I think he was trying to draw the contact.
I don't think he was.
You don't think so?
I just think he was.
Well, I don't think he was.
Ground.
I don't think he was trying to draw the contact. I think he was trying to force Couturier around him.
Wide.
Yeah.
He's trying to force him to go wide. Yeah, he didn't want him to hit him. He was trying to go wide. Now that being said, he has the lane. Like Stuart Skinner has that lane. Like that's his lane. And Couturier has enough time to find a way around it, right? Like so.
Okay, but what happens if a player's behind the net and does that same thing and they can't hit him either?
Not without the puck. That's interference.
Not without the puck. Yeah,
but who's an interference on?
Look,
if Skinner's setting the screen.
Hey, I'll put this.
It's also your ice. Right, like
Skinner was at Skinner made it to the apex before Couturier. All right, he had the right of way. All right,
yeah.
So is it an official thing like in the rule book that the area behind the net is the goalie's ice?
No, like that's his. Like he moves to that ice, like it's his ice. His like I don't know. He's standing there. It's not like he's moving, skating forwards.
I just know that if a player's skating in one spot and the other guy stands in front of him, there's no puck anywhere. The guy who's standing in front of him is going to get the interference penalty.
It depends on if you're like sliding. Like if you have your
right, if those ones at the blue line, those are interference. Right. So if a guy's standing at the blue line and the defenseman's usually backing up and runs into that guy, usually it's the offensive forward who gets the penalty for interference. Right. So
yeah. Again, like to me, I don't mind a non-call on it because, like, again, I think Skinner slides into him a little bit, and I don't know. You could have given an interference penalty to both of them, so it's kind of a wash.
You could have.
I just there was a direct path. I thought it was a penalty because he didn't slow down one bit and buried his shoulder. And goalies, we can't take hits, man. We're not used to it. So when
garbage.
You were the one.
You guys have more.
Goalies are getting soft,
and you have more equipment than everybody.
We're not supposed to get run over. Like it's. You know what? I'm fine if a goalie has the puck behind the net. I'm not saying run him, but you should be able to check aggressively to get the puck, just like you would a defenseman.
Yeah, but you could hit a defenseman.
Yeah, but
why can't you hit the goalie if he's on the net, pretend he's a defenseman?
Well, because you'll get idiots just running goalies all the time. You can't do that.
Well, and goalies should stay in their crease.
Oh my god,
where they're overly protected.
No, you guys, I'm not. There's not eggs in their pants, but I'm saying there's certain rules that apply to it. And in this situation, Couturier should have gone wide. I know that Skinner kind of leaned in for a little bit of a pick.
See, but then that's interference.
But there was he established his position before, though. He took the charge.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I don't think it should have been a penalty.
It was a penalty.
I think it was fine, no call either way.
Gutless.
Hey,
either way, Troy Setcher's still a hero. So that's the moral of the story.
You could say Stuart Skinner was the hero for instigating that whole.
Well, that's
situation.
what Eric claimed.
There you go.
On the morning after show yesterday, he's like, Stetcher doesn't get that fight to jumpstart the season if Skinner just skates back to his net like he could have. I was like, yeah, okay, that's a fair point. I mean, maybe Skinner's the guy who jumpstarted. He said, you know what? If they hit me after the slash on the back of my leg the other night, somebody's going to do something, and that'll get us going.
And then he gave the Maximus Decimus Meridius with the "Are you not entertained?" afterward.
Yeah. I also that's why when I started yelling at people early in the nasty chat before the show opened up, that's why I also said Stuart Skinner is a hero, because it's like I think there's a little bit on that too of drawing it. So both those guys, heroes, absolute heroes.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999 is where you can get in. This guy says, guys, I wonder if Gager ever watched Hextall play.
Oh yeah,
different times back then.
Yeah, but he was a lot of huffing and puffing. He was crazy, but he wasn't tough.
No,
no,
really.
He'd swing.
But he was a psycho.
He was a psychopath. Yeah, but
I mean, Felix Potvin did give it to him pretty good. And that Potvin Hextall fight.
Do you know who the toughest goalie, the scariest goalie in the league was
at that time?
Yeah,
like from a toughness perspective.
Yeah,
we're not talking Billy Smith.
Yeah. Just whatever, all eras.
Oh, okay.
Cliff Ronning asked me this when we were golfing.
So your era, we're not talking like Ray Emery,
every era.
I don't know.
Sean Burke.
Really?
Yeah.
Berkey.
Just a killer, I guess. He never got, I heard he got in fights in practice and dummied guys. And I remember we were playing, I don't know who, was it Phoenix? And they said, if there's a blind brawl and Berkey starts coming down, start skating away.
Seriously?
Yeah, because jump on both those arms and pray to God that nothing happens.
Did he ever get in a fight?
No.
Never, not once.
But
People knew
just the stories of him fighting and in practice and things were scary. Like having to pull to your goalie off tough guys.
Yeah. Ugh, that is scary. All right, Two Guys A Goalie presented to you by GS Construction. They are hiring now. Check their page out on Indeed.ca. Nielsen, Gage, and Cass with you. A couple more things coming out of that game. Then we'll transition to tonight. Talk about the Ottinger deal and a few other notes. But there's a lot of talk about them loading up McDavid and Draisaitl, and it was a line that really didn't do much until after the fight. But what did you think of Skinner with Henrique and Brown, Cass? I thought that was kind of the line that really sort of pulled them back into that hockey game. Yeah,
a little bit of jump there, which was nice to see a different combination of guys. I mean, we haven't talked up until right now. It's like we barely talked about Adam Henrique this year, and maybe that's just because they're challenged and the top guys haven't been producing and scoring has been an issue. But we forget that he is a guy that has the capacity to play in the top two lines. Now, getting older, not maybe as effective as he used to be, but still a guy that can play with some skill. And you throw a couple of guys who are also really good players on his line, and there's a little bit of something there. So Yeah, that was, I mean, maybe not Brown as much after last year, but does bring some speed or an element of speed to that line. And it seemed to have a little bit of juice to it. So, hey, I mean, that could be one. Maybe you try mixing things up a little bit more. That could have some speed, that could be an effective line if you're running a different group, or if you are wanting to load up and go nuclear option. So, hey, it had some good shifts, some good offensive zone time, some good opportunity, and as you said, a little bit of jump from that group, which was good to see.
Yeah, I thought it was nice. Skinner can create plays on his own offensively. Hey, like
he's which
yeah.
I didn't know if that was something he was going to be able to do. Just not having watched him that much, being out east for a majority and a team that we haven't really watched that often. I've been pleasantly surprised with how he can create on his own.
It's an older line too. Like it's an old man line. They're all over 30. They understand the game, and even I think it was Connor Brown talking after the game how they think similarly on the ice with him and Henrique. I think Skinner's a good injection into that line. Just like that pass he made to Brown that's a highly skilled play. Like
he knows where that's going before it even arrives.
Yeah,
right? Like,
and there's no. You know what I liked about that line too? What they did better than everyone else is when they were putting pucks to the net regardless. I like the fact when a guy's driving wide, if there's nothing there, he just fires it, an inch or two off the ice on that pad, because it's hard to control for a goal. And all the goalies do the same. They're all cookie cutter. They go down and they have that one pad against the post, and if you hit it correctly or a certain angle, that thing's popping straight back out into the slot. It's almost like a pass off the pillows, right? And it happened once, and that's how the Henrique goal kind of came about. But they're not dusting it off, right? They're shooting the puck. Like they're getting a chance. Obviously, Adam Henrique with that great backhand. He just backhand slapper. Brown doesn't dust it off at all. Gets it quickly on net. I'd like to see now that they got a little bit of juice with that line. Try to keep those guys together for as long as possible, because I do think you have something there.
So what would you, Gage, how would you split up the rest of the guys then? Like, are you keeping McDavid, Draisaitl together? Are you going to try a couple different looks? Like, how would you set up the lines if you want to keep that guy together?
Tonight, I keep Leon and Connor together just because of past success.
Against Nashville, yeah.
I think if memory serves correctly, this is one of those games where, with even Woodcroft and Knobloch to a point, certain teams he loaded them up for the game, right? And I think tonight, just with prior success, winning a game, it's a good idea to keep that line together. And I'd finish the way you start. I'd start the way you finished last game.
Just quickly on McDavid and Draisaitl versus Nashville. Shared these a little bit earlier on the station today, but I mean, we talk about Draisaitl owning Nashville, but that's how much he's owned Nashville, because this is Connor. His last 13 games against Nashville, he's got 33 points, 10 multi-point games in that stretch. Leon Draisaitl has recorded 5 3 or more point games over his last 7 against Nashville. In those 7 games, he's got 9 goals and 11 assists. He scored more goals against Nashville than anybody else with 25. And he has 9 career multi-goal games against Nashville, 2 goals 7 times, 1 hat trick, and 1 4-goal game back in March of 2020. I mean, even the Nuge has points in 11 of his last 12 against Nashville, and it's 20 points in those 12 games. So these guys have torched the Nashville Predators. But Cass, like, Nashville hasn't won yet. They've got to be, and Edmonton's 5-0-2 in their last 7 in Nashville.
Yeah.
But Hernan and I were talking, and we're just like, like if they come out and start like they did against Philly,
you could be in one.
You could be in trouble. Yeah, right?
Yeah, because Nashville's going to be desperate from the drop of the puck. They 0-3. They do not want to go to 0-4. They're a good team. Haven't found that chemistry. In some of the games, you look like, they lost to a Dallas, who's a really good team, but then they had 2 not great games. And they're coming out and they're going to be chomping at the bit at home to get that first win. Like they're going to be ready to go. And it's not a game, I don't think, for the Edmonton Oilers that you can work your way into. Like, you have to be ready to go from the drop of the puck in this one.
Yeah, and Saros hasn't been UC Saros yet, so he's kind of all these Stamkos not scoring yet. There's a lot of things that are kind of lining up for the Nashville Predators to get in one here. But saying that, Oilers probably feel a little bit better themselves. This is going to be a good game. I mean, to me, anyways, when I'm looking at the schedule at the start of the year, you kind of plot out, okay, this game, where's the one that interests me the most, especially with the teams that did probably the most off-season ads.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This is at first when all this happened, I would think, oh my gosh, Western Conference Final. I'm penciling in Nashville and Edmonton right now, just because of the moves and how it looks like it's going to line up. But funny start of the season this year. All these teams that you would figure would get off to good starts have just been absolutely crap.
Another note from this game tonight, Pickard is in the starter's net today, I think, according to Bob Stauffer on the road with the team. Gage, your thoughts on going to Pickard? I would assume it would be Pickard and then Skinner on Saturday afternoon, which would give Pickard 2 of the first 6, Skinner 4 of the first 6 starts. Kind of what you would expect there. I thought they might go Skinner on the road trip here, but
I'm surprised. Maybe Bob was just standing on the other side of the rink and got him confused.
starter net's down here, actually. You wouldn't have gone to Pickard?
No, I think I would have stayed with Stu because he had a really good game. Man.
The second half was awesome against Philly.
Like he stared down some pretty good chances, made them look really routine, and that's what we're used to, right?
And took the bump to turn the season around.
Well, yeah, he was the catalyst.
Yeah.
Actually, Gager makes a fair point, doesn't he, Cass? Like, they just won their first game. He was a big part of it. You might want to run him back for this one.
This is why
they started Pickard against Dallas last year.
That's what I was going to say. That's if they were going to do it. Sorry, Cass. Go ahead. But that's why I thought.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like I get the argument, but for me, I'm like, okay, I want Skinner against Dallas. And I know Pickard started against Dallas. I think Dallas is an even better team this year than they are last year. But we talked, how often did we talk towards the end of the season last year about the number of games that Stuart Skinner played and about not throughout the season overloading him and making sure you have a tandem going, that Skinner gets in that 55, maybe hits 55 games played in the season. And so you got to work Pickard in. And, if I'm looking between Nashville and Dallas, I still want Skinner against Dallas. I know Pickard's had some success against them, but yeah, I don't mind this at all. This was the plan. They're not deviating from it. The goalies would have known it going in. They would have talked about it. You probably wasn't a shock or a surprise to Stuart Skinner. So yeah, I think it's fine. I do understand your point though, Gager. Like, I don't think you make a bad point. But to me, that tells me it's like, well, they could have done either, and we probably all would have been fine with it.
Yeah, I wonder what goes through the mind. Is it past performance? Because the last game that Stuart Skinner did play against Dallas was phenomenal, right? Basically the reason that there wasn't a game 7. So who knows?
Skinner played 59 last year. Ideally, you want 55 or less.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. For sure. 55 is probably where you want. If it gets to the point where you can maybe give him a little bit more of a break, for sure. Because look, you want him fresh and ready and with the ability to go on a run.
780-218-9999. Starzilla says, guys, another note about tonight's game. It's an away game, so there'll be no Birds of Summer. Did you hear this on the Reed Wilkins show yesterday?
No.
Oh, man, you got to go back and watch the final 20 minutes of the Reed Wilkins show yesterday. So for their fired up segment, they were talking about, a look at the penalty box and Stetcher giving Perry a little bump when he came in. And then it went to a shot of the Flyers penalty box.
Oh, okay.
And there was this woman in behind the box flipping the double bird. So anyway, the boys got her on the show yesterday. She called in. Her name's Summer. She's 18 years old. And she was just giving them the gears. And she was great. So they labeled her the Birds of Summer because, the 2 birds from summer.
Yeah.
But it was a funny chat. If you missed it, final segment around 5:40 on the Reed Wilkins show yesterday. Of course, the Reed Wilkins show every day from 3 to 6 here. They'll have a chance for you to get in on the EST Flyway. Gager and Hernan from 1 to 3 today. We'll have a qualifying opportunity for the EST Flyway to Los Angeles as well. NBA, NFL, and NHL action from December 26th to December 30th, presented by 780. All right, couple other things to get to around the league. And I think, I don't know, we'll see where this comes in, but Penner's Pancake says, guys, with all the main goalies that needed to be signed in the 8 to 8.25 million range, Swayman, Allmark, Ottinger, does Shesterkin really think he's going to get 12.5? I kind of think he's dreaming. So Jake Ottinger got the exact same deal as Swayman. Allmark got half the term, but the exact same money as Swayman. Let me ask you this. Allmark, Swayman, Ottinger, who would you rather have for the 8.25 mil?
Allmark, Swayman, Ottinger. Probably Ottinger just because his age.
I'm a huge Ottinger stan still. I love him. So I mean, Ottinger's my answer there too. But.
This could be I'm trying to think. Who was the defenseman that didn't sign, was offered that huge deal? Klingberg. And didn't take it and tried to
took the 1 year deal at $7 million, and then
and then it he could have signed for the term for a ridiculous amount and chose not to. The problem is if these goalies that are signing for that amount are similar to Shesterkin at the end of the season, and I mean I think Hernan and I were talking about this. He has to win a cup if he wants to command that much. Right, he has to be a cup winner. So if that's
I still don't know. I still don't know if he'd command that much.
He can ask. I don't know if he'll get it, Cass. But to ask for something like that, I think he has to win the Vezina. He has to be a consideration for the Conn Smythe, and he has to hoist the Stanley Cup at the end of the year to even start that conversation. Because why, if not, and one of these other goalies does win it, if Dallas goes on and wins the Stanley Cup and Ottinger's unbelievable, he's not getting that money.
No.
All I can think about all of this, and don't get me wrong, I love this guy, and he was the only hope they had. But how old was Carey Price overpaid at $10.5 million in 2018-19? Goalies just haven't topped that mark ever since. And I'm like, man, did the Habs just sort of blow their load way too early?
Did he sign before Bobrovsky?
Oh, well, I think so. No, I'm almost certain. I mean, his first cap hit of $10.5 million was in 18-19. I don't think Bobrovsky had the 10 by then. I'll double check though. Good question.
Because those two were the,
I mean, Bobrovsky did deliver a cup and had won multiple Vezinas, I think, even before getting that deal. But let me see here.
I just still, even if you think the cap's going up, your goalie tandem can't take up more than 10%. That's where I run to. If you have a guy who's the guy, and then ends up being, let's call it 9 to 10 mil because you think cap's going to continue to go up, fine. But you start creeping over that. I just think you put yourself in serious issue of being able to sign additional players that are going to help. I mean, it's just too much. It's just too much when you don't need the best goalie in the league to win a cup. You need a good goalie. You don't need the best goalie in the league.
Bobrovsky got $10 million the year after Carey Price got 10.5. Yeah. So there's a little window there where some goalies were cashing in.
We're setting
now, with that being said, I do believe both Carey Price and Bobrovsky were more proven than Ottinger and Swayman and Allmark. I think when they got these deals, they'd accomplished more in their careers, even if it's just personal accolades.
And Carey Price, man, the Habs sucked, and he made them a half-decent team.
He basically ruined their opportunity to blow it up until his injury, right?
Yeah.
I was just they're... And if only we had somebody on this show who scored 2 goals on Carey Price one time.
If only.
There he is.
If only.
You basically ruined Carey Price. That was the end of it. But Carey
That was
Price,
the beginning of the end.
What was it like going into a game or a playoff series against Carey Price, though, Cass? It must have been... was there an aura around him back then? Because he was pretty damn elite in his prime.
I wouldn't say there was an aura, but you just know that they're going to get really good goaltending. They're going to have to earn everything, that it's going to be a little bit tougher. So it's not like there's an aura this guy's unbeatable, we can't win. It's just no, we're going to have to work for this. We're going to have to get bodies to the front of the net. We're going to have to get traffic there. We're going to have to find ways to get rebounds and bury them. And that's quite literally what we did. We weren't fancy, we weren't pretty. We earned the nickname the Pesky Sens for a reason, because it was just we just wouldn't go away in games. We were all around the net. Again, we weren't fancy. There was no elaborate, tic-tac-toes all over the place. And in that series where we beat them, that certainly wasn't the case. It was greasy, grinding. You get one chance, you get two chances, like in Carey saving the first one, but a lot more difficult for him to stop the second one, even more difficult to stop the third one if you get the third one there. So that's how we did it. I wouldn't say there's an aura again, but it just very much with good goalies and good goalies in the playoffs. It's at least at the start of series, you don't have it in your mind that this guy's unbeatable. Now, if they steal a couple games for you, and I think we saw that with Edmonton and Winnipeg and Hellebuck a couple years ago, where it's like if they start to steal games, well, then all of a sudden I think they can manifest that aura around them where you just get it in your head. But heading into a series, it's like you have to be good to beat them. You're going to have to work for it. If they find a way to hit that groove, then maybe there's a little bit of that mystique that starts to build, that it's like, no matter what we do, we can't beat them. But I don't think they inherently have it. Even the really good goalies heading into a series, like they might have the capacity to steal a game, but until they do, you're just kind of treating it as, they're going to get good goaltending. We're not going to get freebies. We got to work for it. We got to work for it. We got to work for it. That's kind of the mentality, at least in my experience.
I saw somebody mention Rick DiPietro, the contract up there. Yeah, he's still getting $1 million something for like a couple more years.
Good for him.
On the back end of that. And then somebody confused DiPietro with Dan Blackburn. He's like, I think DiPietro had the two blockers. Oh, that was Dan Blackburn.
That's Blackburn.
Blackburn
I was talking
went
to someone about.
Yeah. He was in high school. He was a year behind me because he played for the. I had never seen a goalie like Dan Blackburn. Like when he was 16 in the Western Hockey League, it was just like.
Oh, he was ridiculous.
He was a freak. He would.
Yeah.
Did you play against him in the dub? No.
Not in the dub.
I don't think so. It wouldn't have been. Yeah, he came in the year he was drafted and started 35 games for the New York Rangers. Like that's
unheard of.
That's unheard of. And then
well, the fact that he was so good, then what was the problem? Shoulder?
It was I think, and I think they screwed him up a bit too, and I'm pretty sure it was a shoulder issue. And that's why
it was nerve damage in the shoulder, wasn't it?
He was going to try two blockers because I think he could go like this, but I don't think he could go.
He could go like
that way.
Like, how good do you have to be to say, you know what? Well, how about you just wear two blockers? Like, no one ever asked me to do that, and I had not a great glove hand. That's crazy.
That is wild, isn't it?
Yeah. I probably would have done better with two blockers, actually.
I wrote an article. This is my biggest, like, when I was in high school, I wrote for hockeysfuture.com.
Okay.
And I remember I went and watched Dan play, and he was like the smartest dude on the team, like highly intelligent. He would like sit in the crowd before the game and like meditate. Like he was on another level. But I wrote an article for Hockey's Future, and I was like, I think this guy could play the year after he's drafted. Like he's that good because he was like 6'3", insanely athletic. And then he did, and I was like, holy bleep. I called it. I'm a scout. I was 17 years old. It was like the first thing I ever wrote. But I would have loved to have seen what his career ended up becoming because he was ridiculous. Top 10 pick, stepped in right away.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's great. The Rangers have done an amazing job with goalie scouting. Like they've never missed a beat from Richter. I mean, Blackburn, obviously.
They was a unique situation.
Lundqvist.
Yeah, that's not their own fault. Like that's a health.
They had a good one
reason.
in them. Like
they consistently have not only number one goalies that they get, which is sometimes it's a platoon system, but like I would say top 5 goalies in the league.
And if Blackburn doesn't have the shoulder issues, Lundqvist might not have been a thing.
Yeah, he's
right. Blackburn would have been their guy for a long time. And I mean, we're really in a what if situation here. Just quickly on the goaltending thing with these contracts at 8.25 or whatever it is. I mean, Skinner's going to have to play pretty damn well to put himself at the $8 million level for a goaltender, isn't it?
Right, but is 6 to 7. Is 6 to 7 million out of the question, though?
Oh, I think 6 million would be right in the wheelhouse for anybody who's a number one goaltender.
6-7 with Pickard another year at 1. That's perfectly.
That's same thing. You land right in that range. Yep.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what would happen with him as his contract continues to move along. EST Afternoons is coming up here in about 10 minutes' time. Crosby and Malkin last night. Just it's what the greats do. Like they have their moments. Yeah. And these two guys playing together for 19 bloody seasons. It was Malkin who set up Crosby's 500th goal a few years ago. Crosby returns the favor, gets him 500. Crosby had already got 1,600 points earlier in the game. And then Crosby scores the overtime winner, and it's just a glorious night for the aging Pittsburgh Penguins. Jesse Puljujarvi with a nice goal.
It was
that
pretty
game.
nice.
That was a nice goal.
That was a nice touch.
Does he not look like he all of a sudden has confidence or something? Like he's not. I feel like here he would have bobbled that puck and batted it into the corner.
He would have just cycled it to himself probably at that point.
He looked like
It was
a goal
nice
scorer.
touch.
It was just like
Yeah.
pop there. But Cass, I was talking about on our show this morning, and when we look at the greatest 1-2 punches, the greatest dynamic duos in NHL history, there's Gretzky and Curry, or even we look at Gretzky and Messier, depending on how you want to lay it out, Yarmer and Mario, and a few other guys along the way. But none of those groups stayed together for 19 years. Like this, like we're witnessing something that we really haven't witnessed in the National Hockey League.
No.
It's going to be 20 years of Crosby and Malkin. Both of them among all-time scoring leaders when it's all said and done. Both of them with Conn Smythes. Both of them with Hart. Both of them with it's just I still don't think in the now we realize what we're witnessing with these two dudes.
Well, I think in Edmonton we should, and hopefully we get to witness it here, right? With Draisaitl and McDavid, something similar, where you can have those guys for that long and they're just that good for that long. It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, those guys, two of the best players ever to play, both easy Hall of Famers, beyond easy Hall of Famers. Just crazy and fun to see and still fun to watch, still both excellent guys. And yeah, it's in an age where players move teams, players get traded for cap purposes and for different purposes, to have two guys that have just kind of rode shotgun to one another, whether they played together or on different lines, just as a 1-2 punch for that long. It's special. It's amazing. It's fun. Two fantastic players.
Do you think that just because Mario was the owner and kind of realizing the advantages of having Crosby and Malkin and trying to keep them, that was kind of the reason that they've stayed for so long
Because
too?
they were guided in by Mario?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. He didn't go anywhere else.
No.
He had tumultuous health issues that sidelined some of his best years.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's that stability there from a guy like him.
Because I mean, growing up, being a fan of the NBA, like guys would come out of college, get drafted, and they would stay at the team that drafted them, right?
Yeah.
Try to win. Like, then that's kind of, that's what you did. That's what I thought. You get drafted, you go to the team, and you win a championship. That's what you do. And so, I mean, it's different now. You see a lot of transactions, but yeah, there's definitely something to being with the same organization the whole time. And it does look like they'll probably ride
I'm trying to
this
think
out.
back in the NBA was the first superstar to kind of, now there would have been others along the way, but Shaq, with Orlando, really good teams in Orlando, and then was just like,
Hardaway,
off to the Lakers, go win titles. It might have been he might have been the first one of that late '90s era to kind of do that. The Oilers have McDavid and Draisaitl. I mean, you're going to have them, one in 2010.
Okay.
And then they won again 5-6 years later, back to back.
Back to back.
All right, so they kind of reloaded and did it again, which is pretty damn impressive.
Crosby
too.
stole Kessel's Conn Smythe.
I do think Kessel should have had that.
Should have won that, man.
He was their most valuable player.
Yes.
He was great at
He
those
was
playoffs.
unbelievable.
Yeah, because Malkin got the first Conn Smythe, then Kessel got one, then Sid got one, or was it Sid then Kessel, or was it Sid? Or it was Sid and Sid.
Sid.
But was Kessel? Was it the first one or the second one?
It was the one against Nashville. Was that the second one?
Can't remember.
First
I feel like if it was the first one, they're probably like, well, we got to get Sid one. But I wonder if Sid had already won one on the second one where they voted for Kessel.
He won it back to back. He won Conn Smythe back to back.
Kessel was their leading scorer in the playoffs.
He had how many goals?
Speaking of Phil Kessel, you guys see that he joined the World Poker Tour?
Yeah.
I did not see that, but I love it.
Yeah, he's on the World
Is he
Poker
labeled
Tour.
as War Pig?
Oh, it should.
I sure hope so.
All right, War Pig's got pocket nines.
But someone said he's really good.
Really?
Yeah. Might have to come onto the Coolbet.
I'm going to have to see it. Yeah, Coolbet tournament 2 Tuesdays from now. War Pig in the house. All right, that's going to do it for Two Guys and Goalie, presented to you by GS Construction. They are hiring now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca on their page at indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction today. Prediction for tonight against Nashville.
Ooh, I think it's Nashville's turn to win one here. 4-2 Nashville.
Ooh.
Cass, what do you think?
10-2 Edmonton.
He's back. He's back. I'm with Gager. I think Nashville wins tonight. We'll see. GCL Diesel pregame show gets rolling at 5 o'clock today, live from Hudson's on White. EST Afternoons with Gager and Hernan. Coming up next for Matt Kassian, Joaquin Gage, I'm Dustin Nielson. Thank you very much for joining on Two Guys and a Goalie. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. with